Hey everyone, this is Isaac Ransom, a seasoned podcaster and a graduating student at San Jose State. I am here with Sylvia C from the Sylvia C team at Keller Williams Bay Area Estates. Sylvia, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Isaac?
Great. Hey, I'm really excited to be sitting down with you. There's a few questions and concerns that have been coming up with this whole shelter-in-place situation, the COVID-19 pandemic, and since you've been in real estate for such a long time and you have such insight on it, I was wondering if you had some time to go over some of these questions, address them directly. I mean, you've been in this business for a while, as I've said. So, Let's just talk about it. I think people are wanting to hear some answers. Like, this doesn't happen all the time. I think the economy is volatile. When do you think this economy is going to recover?
Well, I hope I can shed some light on the subject and share some of the things that I've learned over the years. I've been doing this for 40 years and I have experienced lots of different economies. And so this is something totally different. We have to understand that the slowdown is not due to any financial reason. As we all know, it really is response to a global pandemic. It has forced to shut down everything, put a pause button on it. And, this is not like any other that we have seen. Last situation that we had out there was the 2008, 2009 market, where it was more like a tornado, came and hit everything. And we had a market where everything sort of fell down. There was no foundation. It just killed everything. In this situation, this is more like a snowstorm. We have snow coming down. There's 6 feet of snow that's still sitting on the ground. However, when the snow starts melting, this is all going to go away. It's not going to happen right away. I believe that's probably going to be a little while. From all the economists that I've been studying and reading and looking at things, they're all sort of stating that this is going to be more like a V-shaped economy because it's going down quickly. It's going to go up very quickly. All the Goldman Sachs out there are saying, and JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, they're all saying the same thing. It's going to be a wild ride next 90 days. But the second quarter of the year, but the third quarter's market should really improve drastically. As we look at some graphs out there, we're going to have a V-type recovery, strong down, strong up. Like if you took a tennis ball and threw it against the wall, it bounces right back. That's what they're saying it's going to be like. The other day I was reading an article by Harvard Business Review, and it's also saying that they're also predicting that this is going to be V-shaped economy. They're stating that it is like the SARS 1968, the Hong Kong flu in 1958, Spanish flu. They all had, right after all those were taken, the economy bounced back. So everybody's predicting that's going to be more like a V-shaped economy.
Yeah, I think that's a valid assessment. And even when we're comparing to those other pandemics, right, we're in the 21st century. There are ways around for businesses to continue to operate. There's a strength in the way that some businesses have adapted to this pandemic. I mean, I think the big concern is that a lot of people are asking, are we going into a recession? They've seen the Dow Jones, the S&P 500 have a sharp spike. Like, that's the major concern. What do you think?
I want to start with a quote from Mark Fleming. He's a chief economist at the First American. This is what he says directly. Many still bear scars from a Great Recession and may expect the housing market to follow a similar trajectory in response to the coronavirus outbreak. But there is a distinct difference that indicates that the housing market may follow a much different path. And while housing leads the recession in 2008 and 2009, this time it may be poised to bring out of it. And I really believe that's what it's going to happen based on what I'm seeing out there in the marketplace and still the fact that there are a lot of buyers and sellers out there. Our team, just last month, we sold 3 properties and we were not there doing anything like we normally do, where it's always done through virtual showings. And definitely people are still on the market. It's a lot different than what it was in 2008. The market was nothing like that whatsoever.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Mark is touching on something important, which is the fact that people do have these concerns, these fears that have carried over from the last recession that was super recent. So for what reason is this not going to be like 2008 again?
Well, the difference today is a lot different than in 2008. Before the 2008 recession, we had 6 years of really high appreciation. And if we look at the 6 years leading to today, we see we're nowhere near where we were at that time. What we were looking back at that time was that it was going up so quickly. And if we look at the past 6 years, we don't have anywhere near the runaway appreciation we did back then. It's been more of a marketplace where it's been going on in little increments versus the runaway appreciation. The next thing is that, what we're looking at right now is that the credit availability. Back then, pretty much if you had a pulse and you were alive, in 2008, you're going to get a loan.
Yeah.
In today's world, it's not like that at all. If we look at the National Mortgage Credit Availability Index that we have out there that I look at pretty much every single month, it's basically when a chart shows where it shows a high graph on the graph, it shows high. It indicates basically the fact that getting a mortgage is very easy. Right now, yes, mortgages are a little bit more difficult, but not as difficult right post 2008. You're looking at, it's really is about 0.25% what it was back in 2008. I think that's probably one of the reasons the mortgage market is, they're looking at the credit worthiness of a borrower a lot differently than back in 2008. And also, before we went to this coronavirus world, pre-coronavirus world, we had one thing that we were looking at this year that we felt was going to be the biggest problem. And that problem was going to be that we had very low inventory in the marketplace. And as in any economy, if you have low inventory creates demand. Demand creates demand creates properties to sell, and of course we're seeing a lot of multiple offers, and believe it or not, we're still seeing that right now. We look back in 2007 and 2008, 8 months of supply inventory was on the marketplace at that time, and we look at today's inventory, we're looking at nationwide, it's about 3.5 months, and even locally, it's even lower than that. So inventory plus low inventory plus demand that we have out there, I don't think we're going to be visiting the 2008 market.
Right, and because the demand is so high, people still want to find houses. The 2008 recession was linked to the subprime mortgage situation, this housing crash. And at the heart of that housing crash was an equity issue. Tell us about that.
Well, we look back in 2008. People were using their homes as what I call an ATM machine. If we really look at the numbers out there leading up to 3 years leading up to 2008, actually, there was $824 billion was cashed out on refinances, that people were using that for financing vacations, lifestyles, all kind of things like that. If we look at it right now, the 3 years leading up to today's world as we're living in right now is $232 billion. Huge difference between the two. People are not using their homes as they were using back then to fund a lifestyle. Its home has become a different animal right now, and if we really look at the overall equities that most throughout the country, survey was recently taken, 53.8% of the homes in the United States, people have at least 50% equity on them, which is a lot different than it was back in 2008. And also we're looking at about 37% of the homes in this country are on free and clear. In 2008, there was very little equity. And as soon as the market started dropping, when those equities start disappearing, people start walking away from them. And that's not the case right now. People have a lot of equity and they're not going to walk away from hundreds and thousands of dollars. They are going to do everything to keep that in there. And also, with the demand that we're having right now, the equities are going to hold.
Yeah. We can keep talking about 2008. There's a lot to that situation, but I want to shift gears a little bit because I know a lot of people are concerned about the job loss. How does this affect the real estate sphere?
Well, again, looking at a report I recently read on Goldman Sachs unemployment, they're projecting approximately around 15% unemployment. There is also projections. JP Morgan is also predicting about 8.5% unemployment. The Congressional Budget Office thinks it's going to be 12%. So what they're saying is, if you look at all the numbers and average it out, approximately around 15% this year. It'll be somewhere between 6 and 8% next year, because a lot of the jobs that we put a hold on right now, 90% of those jobs are going to be coming back. Some things, yes, they're not going to be there, but I think eventually, as we start easing a lot of these restrictions, those are going to be coming back, because we're coming from a very strong economy. Not like the economy back in the olden days in 2008. We keep talking about 2008 because a lot of people remember those days. And I think that's why I keep saying that. So it's nowhere, the unemployment based on all the projections out there. And again, it's changing daily. But as we look at it with a V-shaped economy, what we are going to see is that, again, we're going to see that employment number go up, but it's going to come down very quickly. That's what we are seeing from all the economists and everything I'm seeing locally in the marketplace.
Yeah, that's good. Well, hey, I just want to wrap up with one final question, shifting it a little bit more to a personal perspective. But what should we be doing right now? What are the actual steps that we should take moving forward in this coronavirus pandemic?
Well, the first thing I want people to remember is homeownership is an important source of wealth creation, enabling current homeowners and succeeding generations to move up the economic ladder. That's the great thing about owning a home. Almost every family's vast majority of their wealth is in their home. And when those homes get passed down generation to generation, that helps the future generation build more of a net worth, more family wealth. And that's the American dream, owning your own home and being able to live in there. We don't really sell homes. We help people live their dreams. That's what we do. At this time, I really want to go ahead and really think about where we are at. I think safety is a very important factor. I think we should really do everything to keep our families and ourselves safe. I think we should really go ahead and really pray about the people who really have suffered in this whole situation, and and really do everything we can to help one another get through this. After all, we're really in this all together, and I think the main thing to do right now is that really think about what is life going to be like after this is over. And I think we all have to hold hands and really bring each other up in this whole situation. If anyone has any questions and they really want to look in their personal situation and sort of take a look at what's ahead and what they should do to prepare for what they have planned next in their lives with their real estate, I'll be happy to talk to them in person and really explain based on their current situation what's best for them, because everyone's is different, and I think that's what we have to look at.
Yeah, that's really great, Sylvia. Thank you for sharing that. It's an honor sitting down to talk to you about this. If people want to reach out, if they want to get a hold of you, where can they reach out to get a hold of Sylvia C team?
They can contact me or text me at 408-316-3445. Thank you.